and welcome to episode 3 of BNWYDSE, the official THAC Podcast.
Hi.
I'm Tim, this is Troy.
I can't believe we made it this far.
And Joseph.
Sorry, I yawned. Hey.
Again, awesome start.
Yeah.
So, how about that Super Bowl, guys?
I didn't watch it.
Yeah. So even our Super Bowl show, which was not actually a Super Bowl show, and was recorded the week before the actual Super Bowl because we're huge nerds and weren't actually paying attention.
Well, I just took Joseph's word for it that it was a Super Bowl because I didn't really care because no teams that I liked were playing. So Joseph was just like, "Oh, it's Super Bowl Sunday today," and I was like, "Okay."
So if you say so.
I forgot they took that week off. You know what's interesting though is I treated the Super Bowl kind of like a podcast. I just had it on in the background while I played Borderlands.
The podcast was background noise while you were doing something else.
And it was actually being streamed for free by Fox in the NFL, which seems like the most anti-NFL thing I can think of. But
So wait,
I guess they just decided they didn't want to spend all games taking down thousands of like illegal streams, so they're just like, fuck it, we'll do it ourselves.
Well, there were still ads on that stream, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it
it was basically
It was just the TV feed, basically.
Yeah, I was gonna say so. It was just like watching on TV on your computer.
Yep.
It's the future. Cool.
Yeah. So let's give some update news. What's going on in the office?
I'm in a pretty good mood right now because it's not finished uploading now, but it is uploading. Entry 82 is, and will probably have been watched by the time Tim gets off his lazy ass and
we're recording
edits this.
We're recording for the future.
Yeah. How's it going there in the future? Is it okay? Has that Obama taken over the world yet?
Just give it another couple more days.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Cautionary tale.
Entry 82 is on its way up into the netosphere.
It is being delivered to the internet as we speak right now. It is in processing
Through the YouTubes.
after being shipped.
And so we've got
Speaking of being shipped. Speaking of shipping things.
Segue.
We now have all of our shipping materials we need to ship shirts. Ooh, that's hard to say. Ship shirts from the THAC store, the Marble Hornet shirts that were available on the old store that we didn't have control of.
Which is why shirts haven't been up on the new site yet for a while, is because we didn't have anything to send them in yet. Now we do.
We didn't want to cram them in the envelopes that we're using for DVDs and stuff just because it would be a tight fit.
Yeah, you can barely fit like 2 in that envelope.
We did a test run with 2 DVDs and 2 T-shirts just to see if someone bought all of it, and I ended up tearing the envelope. So we decided to wait. So
we now have a wheel of bubble wrap behind us right now that's about the size of a very large wheel of cheese, I would say.
I'm surprised you haven't popped most of that already, if I'm honest. Of course,
it's about the size of like one of the southern lifted truck tires.
I don't know. That looks about the size of a regular car tire.
Of course, I guess that would end up being one of those too much of a good thing situations where you're like, man, I got all this bubble wrap and I'm going to sit here and pop it all, and then you realize, hey, that's actually a lot of bubble wrap.
We can measure it.
Okay. Joseph just got up and picked up the tape measure. How long is it across?
Goodness. It is 2 feet in diameter.
2 feet in diameter.
That is a lot of bubble wrap.
A lot of bubble wrap.
It's
300 feet.
Square feet, right? Because it looks like it's about a foot wide. So yeah.
I think it's just the entire roll is 300 feet.
Yeah, it's a foot
so
wide.
we could
it's
possibly
1 foot by 300 feet.
So we could ship one of us in the mail with that.
Yeah,
we just wrap one of us in the in bubble wrap and just...
It doesn't have to be us. It could just be someone's body.
Oh.
You know,
you have to unlock the secret menu on the store to order that, though.
To order us.
You can actually place orders for stray cats, and we just have to go out and catch one, and we can just send you a stray cat.
THAC cats.
If there are any other stray animals you'd like to see added to the store, please contact us at podcast@THAC.tv. And
oh yeah, that was a foot long because remember the one that we found was like 24. This is very important stuff for the podcast, but it was 24 and we got it cut in half. So it's a lot of bubble wrap and it's packed very tightly.
And then we have non-tear envelopes to put them in.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I
It's
feel
all professional looking, and we were gonna almost got a deal with an office supply store until we saw what their prices were.
Yeah, the place that we get our stuff from now was like hilariously cheaper than this guy that I won't say any names or anything, but like a local place. We were like, yeah, we can just go pick it up. It'll be cheap. And we looked, it was like, no kidding, 4 times as much.
Like, it was one roll of that bubble wrap that we have, but 100 feet instead of 300 from that place was still more expensive, even after you priced in like next day shipping on the 300 foot roll.
Yeah.
So
that's definitely stuff people want to hear about. But let's move on.
It's related to what we're talking about with all the sending stuff, but I'm not sure if we really went into any kind of detail with this before, but just in case we didn't, the shop that was on marblehornetsdvd.com that was being run by someone else, third party, we are no longer affiliated with that, and we are now running the shop 100% by ourselves independently. So,
which means us 3 package your order.
Yes,
and we whisper secrets into the things you buy.
Sometimes Tim's just farts ever so lightly into the envelope and seals it up.
I hold up the envelope and go, and then close it.
That comes out of your ass, though.
Mm-hmm. Wait. So then when you open it, you'll actually hear that once you break the seal on it, you'll just hear a little,
yeah.
And so essentially now, if anything goes wrong with any shipments or anything,
it's actually our fault, and we can actually do something about it.
Yeah, no one to blame but us. But
without going into too much detail, that was a problem that we had before.
Yeah, and now everything that we have is now on the store, which is good.
Yeah.
And it also, because we control everything, we get to decide what new stuff gets put up there.
Yeah. I've already talked with a few people that showed interest in designing a few things. So hopefully if they come through that, we can sell some of their designs too.
Yep. And with the t-shirts and stuff, some interest has been displayed in getting 2Xs for the shirts and maybe an extra small.
Yeah.
That's something we are looking into when we have to do our next order for these shirts. And we're also maybe thinking of possibly discontinuing the symbol shirt and coming out with a new Marble Hornets related shirt just to freshen things up. That's not in stone yet. We haven't even made the prospective designs.
Well, when you say discontinue, the new one being also the operator symbol, but one that's
different.
Looks better or looks different.
Looks better. Looks better to me.
Yeah,
or to us, I guess. Because we're not the ones that designed that ourselves, so we feel like can make it, I don't know, streamlined a little bit better or something. But
so you didn't draw the operator symbol in that, but you did draw the Marble Hornets logo for the other one, didn't you?
Yeah, because that one was taken directly from the season 1.
Oh yeah, that's right.
DVD cover, which the one that the designer of the cover, who wasn't me, did. I sent them a mock-up of it and just kind of scribbled Marble Hornets on there, like here's where the logo goes on the box, and I guess the person that put it all together was like, oh, it looks pretty good, I'll just use that. So they put everything else together themselves, but they used that mock-up that I did. They used that, just scribbled in literally 5 seconds. So
good job, buddy.
That is now what's on the shirt.
Nice.
Yep.
We didn't pick that though either. So
right, but now we will. So
So maybe new operator symbol shirt in the future. Also other shirts in the future.
Yeah, actually maybe THAC related too. Who knows?
Fill up that THAC category on the store, which is now currently just a sticker.
Yeah, we should fix that.
I guess part of that is deciding what THAC related thing would be on a shirt.
I would say
a couple different things.
I would say the most popular one so far that people have suggested. I haven't asked for suggestions or anything, but people have seemed to have said that the most is a shirt that just says grapefruits are bullshit.
Yeah.
So whatever.
With or without the actual grapefruit on it with the face. I think it probably.
I don't think I'll tell my grandparents that that's a shirt we sell.
Yeah. Well, maybe just the in small print across the chest just says grapefruits are bullshit.
Or we have to make it G-rated, so it just says grapefruits are dumb. Grapefruits are silly.
Well, who was that person in your class that I went to that time? Didn't you say she had a shirt on one time that just said "high as fuck" on it?
Yeah. And she was wearing and she had really tall socks that came about halfway up to the knee that also had like pot leaves on it and stuff. So
Nice.
I wonder what she did in her spare time.
High as fuck.
I want that shirt. I just want a shirt that says "high as fuck" on it. That's great. Just because I think that's a hilarious shirt.
So talking about changes going on our end with the shop and everything else, we have another change. Probably not. Again, I'm not sure how much detail we can go into that, but if you want to,
it's honestly not even anything that affects the viewers, really.
Yeah, it's mostly just this
is just what's happened in our week. It's been pretty busy.
Yeah,
again. Which is good. That's good. This is the most updates we've ever given in a podcast. Wow, we're breaking a record on
Hopefully
our third.
Next time we'll have even more.
Oh boy. We can talk more about our bubble wrap wheels.
They're 2 feet in diameter.
Wow, let's talk about diameter and schematics. But anyway, we've never really talked about this publicly, I guess. I don't know why. I guess because it wasn't really important.
Yeah.
It's not like a big secret or anything.
No difference.
Yeah. But we used to be, I guess we say used to be now. We used to be, what was it, like channel affiliates? What it was called? For
just like affiliate partner.
Affiliate partner for Machinima, which is, I'm guessing a lot of people know what Machinima is.
Best known for video game stuff.
Yeah,
which you'll notice is not us.
Yeah, so they used to be the provider of, they took it upon themselves to do all the ads, selling, and stuff like that. Basically, they were just doing it for us and, taking a certain amount of money out of that. And whatever, it's boring financial stuff. But we are no longer with Machinima. We are... I wouldn't say we do it now because we don't. Because it basically
is
it's just regular old AdSense. So I don't know if that's going to affect the actual ads that show up on the videos or not. It might. It might not.
It probably.
I guess we'll have to find out.
Unfortunately, the ads will still remain just because we're poor.
Yeah.
It's how we're able to do the Posdcast.
Yeah. There wasn't really any kind of bad blood or anything with Machinima. It was just they are definitely more interested in doing, things like Let's Plays and video game trailers, and they have a few like original series things, but they're also video game related.
Right.
Like they did the Mortal Kombat Legacy, I think it was called. You remember that that really cool trailer, someone like a fan trailer that had Michael J. White in it?
Oh yeah.
They made that into a series, and it was on Machinima.
But occasionally you'd get emails like, in your next video includes something about the Xbox One or something like that, and you'd get, I don't know, a prize or something, and I don't think anyone in entry, 79 would have an Xbox One.
Come on, Tim.
How are we gonna
Alex,
work
what
that
are
in
you
there?
doing? Dude, I just got the Xbox One. This thing is killer. Come here. Jump in.
It's like, come on,
I got
Tim.
an extra controller.
Come on, Tim. We have to go to this place to do this thing. Not right now. I'm owning noobs. It just has you doing you're doing the Kinect, waving around and everything. It's like, Tim, come on.
Oh, that
Playing
could have
Fruit Ninja.
That could have opened so many doors storytelling wise though, because then he opens up the Kinect screen and you just see a very ominous silhouette in the Kinect screen.
God.
Why does my Xbox One keep turning off?
We've actually were with Machinima for a while. We were brought on originally when it was over 2 years. It might have been close-ish to
How
3.
long ago did we live in the apartment?
It was close to 3 years ago.
Okay, because I remember it was halfway through when we lived, because we haven't lived in the same place until recently for more than a year, so it's like you can judge how long ago it was by where we were living at the time.
So it was about 3 years ago. It was when they were talking about branching out into non-video game entertainment and stuff, and starting a whole new sector of Machinima for that, but that kind of fell through.
I mean, that was well before, maybe not well before, it was probably right before the explosion of Let's Play videos and popularity. I don't think PewDiePie was around then.
Yeah.
People like that. I don't actually know any other prominent Let's Players besides PewDiePie, but you know what I mean.
We just basically cut out the middleman. That's what happened.
Yeah, so
now it's just us and YouTube again.
I don't think it has any effect on people that watch it, but in the interest of transparency, that is the thing that happened this week.
Yeah.
So that's what's been going on. Is there any other stuff that we've done.
That's we still have the THAC thing that we're working on, but again, we had to put that off to the side a little bit because we had to make that other Marble Hornets thing, I guess.
Yeah, that other stupid thing. We're actually
We've accelerated the shooting schedule.
Yeah, speaking of which, we're going to shoot more either this Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah,
right.
We will have shot by the time you listen to this, probably.
Presumably, yeah. We will have shot not all of it, but a
large portion
of it of the next one. So we actually were delayed from finishing up this most recent one, 82, because of freak Alabama weather, but we finally got it done.
Because it suddenly got icy here for like 3 days.
Yeah, it snowed here, and the snow stayed on the ground. We cannot express.
I can't get over, like, I can't express to you how furious I am that there was that much snow on the ground and we still didn't have the Craig Digsby mustache, because there's no way we wouldn't have done something with that.
Yeah.
But now it's too late, and we probably won't get snow like that again for another 5 years or so.
Of all the times to be waiting on that stupid mustache. I need to call them. And that has been your mustache update for the podcast.
Mustache News, episode 3.
Still not here.
All right, now let's move on to audience questions. We've gotten quite a few over the last week or 2 weeks, so unfortunately we won't be able to do all of them.
Right.
But these are some of the ones that we've chosen. So I'm going to start off with, this is actually not a two-parter question, but they're related, so I'm asking them together. Jack asks, what has the biggest change in your lives been after starting Marble Hornets and THAC? And Aaron asked, if you didn't make Marble Hornets, what would you be doing right now?
Well, Jack, if that is your real name, the biggest change being that we do it. Like, we would probably be, maybe, we probably would have gone on from Applebee's at least, but we'd probably still be really boring, and we're still kind of boring now, but in different ways.
Well, I know before I was able to start doing this full-time, I was working 2 jobs at Domino's Pizza at night and making salads in a diner during the day. Before I'd even
mom and pop place.
Before I'd even gone back to school. So I guess that answers both questions, because if I didn't make Marble Hornets, I would probably still be doing that, because honestly, it was part of the reason that I decided to even go back to school and switch to film, because I was like, hey, that whole film thing is the only thing that I'm doing that actually seems to be working out for once, because I just failed out of computer science and had taken a semester off to just work 2 jobs and grind my soul down for a while. So
grind it down.
Yeah, that's an important part of everyone's life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was Applebee's
for us. It was still it built character.
Well, Applebee's was actually after Marble Hornets. Like, if Marble Hornets didn't get made at all, you were in school at the time. I was in Pelham working at the video game store. To get real for a second, I don't know, if Marble Hornets wasn't in, I would have been back in school at some point, but I don't think I would have been in school as quickly as I was.
Would you have ended up staying in Pelham if that had been the case, or were you planning on coming down here for another reason anyway?
I can't remember. I think I was planning on coming down to Tuscaloosa anyway.
Yeah, because you didn't have any...
We started filming it after we already decided that we were going to move in together in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
Troy and I. So, I don't know. I'd probably...
And Brian.
Yeah, and Brian. I don't know. I don't know that I would be back in school. I definitely wouldn't be a film major now.
I don't think there was any school talk from you when we were coming to Tuscaloosa. I think I was just like, hey, I'm moving off campus. I need a roommate. You want to come down to Tuscaloosa?
And I was like, I want to move out of my parents' house. Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't even start back to school until about 2 years ago. No, less than 2 years ago. Going on 2 years. Also, I guess if I did go back to school, I would be doing music still, since I have switched from... I was a trumpet performance major for a long time. And now
wasn't that the thing that you always wanted to do?
Yeah,
too?
I way to crush my childhood dreams.
Sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to be an orchestral musician since I was about 9 or so.
But didn't you say that's one of the things that pretty much no one is going to ask for your credentials if they think you're good enough anyway.
Well, yeah, but generally speaking, you're not going to get that good unless you
right. But let's just say you were naturally really good. Hypothetically, would you get like if you did an audition and the people you were auditioning for whatever orchestra were like, "Well, you're really good. Now just give us your diploma and you're in."
Well, yeah, they're not going to ask for your diploma. But it's hard to say because there are a lot of politics and music just like everywhere else.
Everywhere else with everything.
So, the land of professional musicians is definitely not immune to that. There's a lot of cronyism and stuff like that.
We have some experience with that too.
Yeah.
So,
of course, what you could like.
I definitely was not at that level after not playing trumpet at all for like 6 years, though.
Of course, you could combine the two and go for like composition. So that you could like write film scores and stuff.
Scores.
Have a little bit of both worlds,
to be the next Hans Zimmer,
To answer that, also in a kind of serious way, which wasn't really how you enunciated that question, but I'm going to give you a serious answer anyway.
Okay.
I was never really that, and still am not super interested in the composition of it or the I guess the more cerebral parts of it. My grandfather was the musicologist. I've always been more of the performer. Which is weird because I hate being in front of the camera. I just clam up and everything. But if I'm playing music, I'm totally fine with walking around the stage, walking through the aisles while playing and everything. I'll showboat.
So what you're saying is...
we should have given...
If we make more Joseph Plays the Trumpet videos, yeah, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Well, so Alex Crayley should have had like a trumpet carrying around with him, and he would have been way more comfortable with that.
It would have been like Desperado, but with a trumpet.
Instead of writing...
and there's a rock in the trumpet case.
But if we needed you to feel uncomfortable for the scene, then we could just take the trumpet away.
Right.
Instant emotional response.
instead of having lines for you, we just write music for you, and you just play it, and you have to play it with the emotion that you would have.
Yeah,
that's what we should do for the thing after Marble Hornets. It's
all my dialogue from now on is going to be me playing trumpet.
Yeah, so it's like a big art house type thing where it's like there are no words, only music.
If you guys,
see, all of your dialogue is replaced by trumpet, but it's not you playing a trumpet. It's we record you talking, but then you come back in here and then record the trumpet in here, and then we can overlay it over that. So you open your mouth and just trumpet comes out.
Yeah.
I don't know why we.
Alex, what are you doing here?
Yeah, I think me playing is actually on a recording somewhere now too. Because the $1 Million Band does those promotional CDs or whatever.
Nice.
So last year's thing...
I thought you meant I put it in Marble Hornets somewhere.
No.
That's a good idea, actually.
We could do that. We could still do that. The series is not over yet. But yeah, in one of the shows, I can't even remember what. It's a Billy Joel song or whatever. I played.
For those that don't know, $1 Million Band is the...
University of Alabama's marching band. I did that for my first semester at the university. There's a solo at the end of the Billy Joel show that I play the last thing go up to a high note. It's
no big deal.
I remember you practicing that high note in the house over and over again, and it was really... Trumpet is one of those instruments that, it's an awesome sounding instrument, but it also sounds really funny if you hit the wrong note just every single time. So I'd just be sitting in the computer room just playing games or whatever, and, just off in the distance I just hear... and it would never fail to make me laugh every time.
There's also another thing, like Year of the Bull or something on that CD or whatever, and there's a little trumpet trio, but it was actually 9 of us or whatever. But at the very end, or the end of that little break or whatever, the trumpet that's playing really high, that's this guy.
This guy.
But yeah, I don't want to talk about music anymore. I'm getting sad.
Getting wistful.
I still love music. I didn't see as much of a future in it as this right now. So
man, that is saying something.
Yikes. Well, when you have entire major orchestras just cease to exist, that's terribly oversimplifying the political climate of it all.
Fair enough.
But when you have orchestras just not existing anymore, it's kind of I don't know if this is the career path for me.
Well, there's always a chance.
Yeah, plus taking all that time off, I think I was still pretty decent as far as amateur trumpet players go, but I don't know that I ever would have gotten back to the level I needed to be professional, to speak bluntly. Let's ask a silly question.
Well, next question is, Larissa asks, if you could do another fear-inducing type series like Marble Hornets, what kind of things would you want to include that you didn't have the opportunity to put into Marble Hornets?
I'd really like... I kind of lump this question in with people that ask what we would change about Marble Hornets, period. And that's just have a better plan going out from the get-go. Because it's no secret that Season 1, we were just doing cool shots and stuff.
That's literally how it was written.
Fair degree of writing as we go along now. And I would like to see... I don't, regret it. I'm proud of what we've done with what we had to work with. But I would like to see how it would have turned out if we had a plan from the very, very beginning and went from there to now.
Knowing us, I don't know if we would have stuck with it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it has been
It was a lot easier to motivate ourselves back in Season 1 when it was just, let's make this cool shot.
And
there were no expectations on it either.
It's been a definite learning experience, even now, when it comes to writing stuff. Because, I mean... we can admit it, even in Season 3, there were a few write it as we go along type things. I mean, it's like, we knew it was like, we need to get from A to B, or we need to get from A to C, and B, we kind of win as we...
Yep.
Yeah.
And for better or for worse.
But it is, finished now, so... The videos aren't finished, but the story is basically finished.
Yeah, and I think if we ever do anything horror-related again, it wouldn't be for a while, so we can, get the comedy out of our, get it out of our system and try something else, comedy-related or something like that. But I think if we did ever decide to go back to doing something that was scary again, I think it would be fun to do something that was not found footage format.
Oh, yeah.
Just because there's... Both of them have their advantages and their disadvantages, but there's certain things that you can, and there's some things that only work in a found footage format, and then there's certain things that you can't do in a found footage thing like Marble Hornets. So I think it would be fun to go do something in a non-handycam kind of thing. Like for instance, in a found footage type thing, you almost have to treat the camera as a character. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to... If the camera's going to be anywhere, you kind of have to have a reason for it to be there, and you can't really just show whatever you want unless you... I mean, you can show whatever you want if you can figure out a reason for it to be there.
Or, like you said, dramatic irony is very, very difficult to do with found footage, because everything that whoever's holding the camera also knows. For
anyone listening who doesn't know what dramatic irony means, it just means that the audience knows something that the main character doesn't, but... Yeah. It's hard. It's almost impossible to pull that off in a series like this, just because the audience and the main character all see the exactly the same thing.
We've done it a few times, but not the proper type. Because whenever, from what I remember, the few things I can think of off the top of my head, when we did do a dramatic irony type thing, it was a thing that didn't last very long. It would be like, oh, someone sets the camera down and their back is turned and the camera sees something that they don't.
Right.
But it's like, because the camera is basically the audience's eyes. So it's like the audience will see this thing that this character may not see, but it'll be like that character will see that very soon. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't last very long. It's short-lived dramatic irony, whereas if it was a narrative fourth wall type thing, then you could have longer lasting dramatic irony, I guess.
Right.
Is what I guess you can't do with that.
It would also allow for a little better character development too, because you'd be able to see them when they're not just basically interacting with the camera. It's
right.
Which we did do more character development in Season 3 and Season 2, but we didn't really allow ourselves much in Season 1.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically scary thing happens. Yeah. Here's what happens because scary thing happened. Yeah. And then Season 2 was, we can't keep doing that. we have to have reasoning behind all of this.
Because it's sort of it's going from with the philosophy of it would be assumed that whoever is holding the camera is only going to have it on, or they're not going to record things that they wouldn't want someone else to see. But there's nothing stopping them from recording anything that someone else does and uploading it without that character's permission or something like that. So.
Right. Very, very timely thing to say.
Yeah.
I would say as far as what other horror things we could do, that's not to say that we don't have ideas for those kinds of things. I actually have one that I really want to do that isn't.
You came up with that one like a couple of years ago.
I came up with that. That one's still. I'm still writing that one whenever I think about it. I was actually thinking about it yesterday, and I had an idea, and I wrote it down.
There's some pretty ambitious things in there.
Yeah, that's why.
That from what we've talked about, that I would like to do. That I'm like, I don't know that we can feasibly do that yet.
Well, it is a thing that I'm writing off and on right now, but it's not going to be the next thing that we do.
Yeah.
We had another idea, but I don't know if we scrapped it or not. But there's a couple of things that could possibly.
We'll talk about it after this podcast.
Yeah. Once the microphone comes off, all bets are off.
Oh man. Okay, next question is from James, and it is not technically a question, but I wanted to include it anyway. It says, in your last podcast, you mentioned that nobody in a Goosebumps book died. Well, R.L. Stine forgot about Choose Your Own Goosebumps. I remember reading one in 5th grade, and my character in the book died a lot.
And they were pretty much straight up deaths, too, from what I remember. It was like someone holds a gun up to your face, and then you hear the gun go off, the end, or something. Like, they were not ambiguous deaths, from what I remember.
There was one. There are two that I remember reading a long, long time ago. One of them was sort of a haunted fun house in like a carnival or something like that. And you could die by being trapped in like the mummy's tomb or whatever like that. That's supposed to be a funhouse mummy's tomb, but it's real. It's actually cursed. And then the other one was you got transformed into a bat. And the only thing I remember about that is that one of the deaths was that you accidentally fly into the freezer and get locked in there and freeze to death.
Oh God!
You fly into the freezer when it's open, and then like your mom closes the door because she doesn't know you're a bat.
Damn it, Mom!
And then you freeze to death in the
bat pops
alone.
Yeah,
it's pretty dark.
Sad and alone.
Yeah.
Think about the mom.
I guess
she doesn't even know she killed her kid.
Who is also a bat.
I guess when people say that like no one died in Goosebumps, that is Choose Your Own Goosebumps. James wrote Choose Your Own Goosebumps. It is capitalized, so it's like a separate series maybe. So if you want to get really technical, maybe Choose Your Own Goosebumps is separate from
Nope, you're wrong.
Plain old The Goosebumps.
Nope, you suck, you're wrong.
So in a nutshell, James, I don't think so.
I wonder when someone is going to make a Goosebumps Hollywood movie.
Well, they did have the TV show was pretty close, because weren't those sort of long form, or were those only half hour?
They were half hour.
I thought they were half hour.
I mean, they were essentially short.
Were they
films.
half hour, or were they a half hour block, but it was like 2 stories in it? I can't remember.
I don't remember, because I know
pretty sure it was
the
just
Haunted
one.
Mask had one, the Night of the Living Dummy had one.
It's been a while.
There was the one that had, I just remember the book cover had like the executioner guy on it, but I can't remember
I'm pretty sure
which one that was.
I mean, they had specials that were an hour long. I think Night of the Living Dummy was an hour long, and Don't Go Into the Basement was an hour long, I think. And that's the only two that I remember that were out. That might have been hour long. That I seem to remember being an hour long.
They should have done the 2-part book series called Invasion of the Body Squeezers. That would be pretty cool. Yeah, the aliens would squeeze the bodies out and then climb into the skin and live in them. I think
pretty messed
How
up.
does that person not die?
I think, or maybe it was just a possession type thing. I really don't remember that well.
I'm pretty
sure I read it when I was about 12, so I don't remember it that well. I just remember bodies were squeezed at some point. Although I remember for some reason I ended up getting part 2 of it first. So I read part 2, and then I found part 1 later, and I got...
Oh, what's this book called? It's called Return of the King. Let me start it.
Okay, next question is from Joshua. He says, if you could cast yourself in the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, what Ranger would you be?
Oh, man.
When I was a kid, just going off of my kid brain, I wanted to be the Red Ranger.
Because he was the leader?
I guess so.
Yeah. Until the White Ranger came around, of course.
Was the White Ranger considered the leader when he came back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was just a
badass. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
You want to get
The Green Ranger he was the mysterious guy off doing his own thing.
The anti-hero kind of
with his dragon
he was straight
sword.
Out bad for a little while.
Yeah.
Was it a dragon sword? I thought it was just like a dinosaur.
It was a dragon. It came up from the sea. It was like
dinosaurs can come out.
It was like the guy. Well, he had a separate montage sequence. He had a separate montage sequence from everybody else.
If I'm remembering correctly, he actually had 2. He had the like Godzilla-like one.
Yeah, that he called with the
the dragon one, like the Chinese like serpent dragon. That was a different one. But the Green Ranger was still attached to that one in some form or fashion. I can't remember the exact.
I remember his original one. It almost looked like Godzilla.
Yeah, that's the original one.
Had his own, separate montage from everybody else, where it's like everyone else was, running across the plains and flying through the air, and then this one is just like every once in a while it just lumber up out of the sea.
He plays his little knife flute. The da 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 da. He would play that, and then it would. Just
he had those sweet golden shoulder pads too.
Yeah, so did the White Ranger.
Yeah, he kept them.
Because I remember the action figures that I had, they were the ones where the heads flipped up. But the green one had a removable. You had to unsnap the shoulder pads and then snap them back on anytime you flip the head. So of course those went missing almost immediately.
I kind of wish
all those got thrown away because I kept playing with them in the bathtub and they all started rusting. So my mom had to throw them away.
Oh, that's a bummer. I kind of wish that the original Power Rangers actually transformed that way, like their heads flipped. That'd be awesome. Instead of holding up the little belt buckle things. Even though my mind was completely blown. I think it was you that told me that said all of the parts where they were in the Power Rangers suits, it wasn't actually them. Yeah. It was just the Japanese show. Like when you told me that, I was like, holy shit.
That's why.
It's why they teleport into the fights, because in the Japanese show the fights would start out with them as not in their costumes, and then they would sort of change halfway. And the producers of the American show were like, "How are we going to get them into these battles whenever they're whenever they're only in their suits halfway through?" So and they just went, let's just have them teleport.
Yeah, they just Mega Man in.
That's why the pink and the Yellow Rangers both have male anatomy too.
Right. Also, my 10-year-old self didn't consider that, but...
Also, apparently in the original Japanese show, the reason that the Green Ranger is losing his powers and why they had to include all that is something like his body was trapped in limbo or something like that, and there was a candle, and whenever it burned out, that's when he would, lose his powers or die or something like that.
Oh, God.
So, in that show, it would be like, oh, my candle flame's getting lower, as opposed to just saying, I'm losing my powers. I'm losing my powers. Losing my powers every single episode.
Well, I mean, the Power Rangers didn't really have powers, did they? I thought they were just martial artists, and when they put on the suit, it was like armor.
That they could turn into little rotoscope squiggles and teleport places. So yeah, they had to have some kind of power.
That's true.
I mean, I thought that might just be an extension of the suit itself.
Maybe. I don't know the ins and outs of the Power Rangers lore. Yeah. If you could answer any of those questions, feel free to contact us at podcast@THAC.tv. If I had to choose any of those, I would have to say the Red Ranger, just because he was my favorite as a kid, because being the big dinosaur fan that I was, of course the T-Rex is the coolest.
Right,
so
that's probably what I went with.
He was the one that I always wanted. I think I dressed as him in kindergarten, and then I think I was the White Ranger for first and second grade Halloween.
Was that Tommy was the Green Ranger, right?
Yes.
Who was the Red Ranger? What was his name?
Jason.
Yeah. Because you had Billy, Jason, Tommy was the Green Ranger. I can't remember.
Zach
was the Black Ranger.
Kimberly was the pink, and then Trini was the yellow.
Okay.
So. Of course, there's also shifted some because the red, the black, and the Yellow Ranger all switched out at one point.
Yeah.
That was in season 3, I think, for the movie. So
yeah.
I would have to actually go with the white/Green Ranger because I thought that ponytail was cool as heck.
Yeah. Well,
and when I was in 5th grade, I tried to grow a sumbitch. And it got all of maybe an inch. It was pretty cool. It was like a little tuft on my back. I had a little rubber band and everything.
So you had a little first grader ponytail?
Was it a ponytail?
No, it was 5th grade.
Or was it like
5th grade?
Was it like a rat tail?
Wow.
It wasn't. No, a rat tail would have been longer. This was like a hamster nub.
Okay.
Needless to say, I was not the most popular kid. And I never tried to put my hair in a ponytail when I actually did have long hair either.
I mean,
I could have done it.
I had a friend in high school who rocked the ponytail for a while. Yeah. I mean, so.
Yeah.
So did you guys rock out the cheap store bought Halloween costumes at any point?
Oh yeah,
because I transitioned from my mom would sort of lovingly craft Halloween costumes for me every year, but that wasn't good enough for me because I wanted the store bought Power Rangers one. Kind of like how
I felt so badass with my golden shoulder pads that one year.
Kind of like how mom will cook you a nice mom will cook you a nice home-cooked meal and then put it down in front of their 4-year-old and it's like, I'd rather have a Happy Meal.
Yeah.
It's like something you feel horrible for when you're older, but at the time it's a no-brainer.
Those Halloween masks suck. They would cut the hell out of your tongue when you try to talk. But if I couldn't have an awesome ponytail, I would actually be Billy, the Blue Ranger. I related to him because he had glasses, so that meant he was a nerd, and everyone hated me. So
Yeah, everyone hated me too. So I related to Billy pretty well. He was like the computer guy and everything.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because he had glasses. Of course he was.
I mean, but he was a computer guy that also was a kick-ass martial artist. Yeah. So, I mean,
he was a really buff computer nerd.
Yeah, he was pretty huge.
He was a pretty buff 35-year-old high schooler.
I was
because they were all supposed to be teenagers.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Like they were pushing like 90210 levels of Dawson's Creek levels
casting
of unbelievable teenagers.
See, it's like they had the computer tech guy, but you wouldn't think that would be necessary in a world where their station has a talking robot and a glowing head guy who's
Zordon.
Probably thousands of years old.
Hey, somebody's got to troubleshoot on the fly.
I mean,
I want to see the cutaways to the high school where he gets picked on and he just roundhouse kicks someone's head off.
Whenever Zordon's face screen crashes, he's the one who has to reboot it. Whenever that big column blue screens,
jiggle the cord.
What was the robot's name?
Alpha 5,
Alpha
who was
5.
voiced by Richard Horvitz, who was Daggett and Invader Zim.
Yeah.
Whoa!
That guy, that man's voice has been ingrained in our subconscious longer than we can possibly imagine.
And it was weird when we met him. He sounds exactly like that.
Yeah.
That's his regular voice, pretty much.
Just slightly less excited because it was like the third day of the convention and he was kind of worn out.
Yeah.
It's like, I do that voice for you, but I don't think my vocal cords could take much more this weekend.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're not voice actors, because if we went to conventions on our voice acting ability, I mean, you gotta love it, because you're gonna be doing those voices all weekend.
Well, I mean, we met Rob Paulson a few times, who was...
He seemed to love it.
Yeah, which was like Yakko, and like him and Billy West seemed to like love that people asked them to do things.
Yeah.
So
Consummate professionals too.
Because we saw him in line for like a smoothie, and we saw Billy West in line for a smoothie there, and when he was going to check out, he handed him some cash and said, "Shut up and take my money," in the Fry voice. So like he does it into doing that. Yeah.
It was really cool at the opening ceremonies. Rob Paulson went on first. He did Yakko, like, "Hello, nurse."
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's exactly what he sounded like.
And sounded like my childhood and everything.
Yeah.
And he goes off, and then Billy West comes up. He does some of his voices and everything.
He did like Zap Brannigan and stuff like that.
And Zoidberg, I think, too. And he makes a beeline for Rob Paulson, who's on the stage up there with us. And first thing he asks is like, "How was that? Was that good?" And everything. Like getting critiques immediately.
Critiques when we were on the stage. If you were at GMX and you remember... Yep. If you saw Billy West and
that
Rob
short
Paulson
conversation,
talking,
they were talking shop.
They were talking like, how was that? Was that a good pitch? Like, it was so so adorably professional.
And we're just sitting there like,
just like we just do stuff on the internet.
I wonder if, because the guy who does the voice who did the voice of Gurr the robot in Invader Zim does a lot of those conventions too, and
he's not an actual voice actor, is he? Isn't he just kind of like one of the line producers or something for the show?
Or I think he had to do I think he was on the animation department or something like that. But I wonder if anyone comes up to him and then gets mad at him because he doesn't sound exactly like Gurr, because Gurr had like voice processing and stuff. I would not be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably some people that are surprised when they meet Ellen McLean or something. Mm-hmm. They're like, "Hey, sound like Gladys from Portal," and she won't sound like a computer.
I only kind of sound like it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she sounds pretty close, but it doesn't have that echo and everything.
Right.
I hope we get to see her again this year.
She was so cool.
I need some Ellen in my life. She's the classiest person you've ever met. She doesn't walk, she glides.
She floats everywhere. Yeah.
Although she may not sound like GLaDOS, but she can still sound exactly like the administrator from Team Fortress 2. So
a lot of my favorite people at these conventions are all voice actors, but I'm still glad that I'm not one.
Yeah. My voice is getting tired just talking for this.
Yeah. Speaking of talking for this, final question that we have, this Shan or Sean, it's SHAN. So
okay.
Shan asks, "What is your favorite Sonic game and why? But points if you guess mine from my email address. and is from, I won't say the full thing so that you guys don't spam him, but it is from Chow Lover 25.
Yeah.
So.
If judging from that, he would either be, were there Chows in Sonic Adventure 1?
Yes.
There were Chows. Okay. Oh yeah, because they had the
little memory cartridge.
Yeah,
on
they
the Dreamcast.
had the VMUs that you could take them for a walk on. So they were in Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. So
there is a number 2 in his email though, so it could be 2 that he's talking about.
Yeah,
that has the Chow Garden though. So.
Right. So you have the Chows in 1 and 2, but I'm gonna say since they were more prominent in 2, you could actually do things with them in 2, sort of. I will say that your favorite is Sonic Adventure 2, which I can get behind. Out of the 3D Sonic games, that's a pretty good one. It's all right. It has aged way better than Sonic Adventure 1 because I went back and played Sonic Adventure 1 when it was on Steam when I got it to work for 15 seconds.
The Steam version is just
garbage,
broken.
Yeah.
I can't full screen it. I can't figure out how to full screen it. The menus look
always look like garbage anyway.
Well, that one in particular, the menus look like something that would be on a touch screen in like a public information kiosk in like 1998. Nice. Like it's sort of like the marble blue color with, the little, like you would touch with a track. Well, you wouldn't touch it with a trackpad. It would be one of those little balls that you rolled around with like a button that you could push. It looked like something that would be on one of those.
Or it had a pressure sensitive touch screen that you had to like jam in, and it was all soft and weird.
Something you might have seen in Epcot in the 90s or something.
You didn't have a Dreamcast, did you? Like you didn't, when you were younger, you didn't have a Dreamcast.
The rich kid down the street had one, and I got to try it out once or twice. And I remember seeing just the main hub world of Sonic Adventure 1 right after it came out and just thinking, man, this is the future.
Yeah.
Video games will never look any better than this.
My friend had the Dreamcast first, and I went and I saw him play the first level. No, not the first level. The second level was Windy Valley. I saw him play Windy Valley when the tornado comes in, and I was like, oh my god, games cannot look any better than this.
Or like the first level where you're running from the killer whales and stuff.
Yeah, that was
the beach, I guess.
That wasn't Wave Ocean, I think it was called.
Probably.
There was a level called Wave Ocean. I'm not sure if it's that one in Sonic Adventure 1, but that is, that was pretty cool when the killer whale comes. And they tried to redo it in Sonic 2K6, and surprise, it was busted and shitty and terrible.
Much like everything about that game,
except the music. The music was badass.
It's always got that.
And you listened to it a whole lot because you were stuck.
Well, no, there was no music on the loading screen, so you didn't listen to it a lot.
Okay. They've always got the music that's sort of that. It's like the Japanese throwback to 80s hair metal because it's like the same kind of thing that the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers theme song has.
Yeah,
like it's always like the sweet shredding guitars and stuff like that, like the power rock and stuff like that, and it's really cheesy, but there's something endearing about it at the same time.
Right. Well, anyway, what I was saying was you didn't have a Dreamcast, so you didn't really play a whole lot of Dreamcast games, right?
Correct.
So you never played like Power Stone or Seaman or anything like that.
I missed Shenmue. I missed out on Shenmue.
Which is the best Dreamcast game. Hands down is Shenmue. I don't care what anyone says. You said it to Japanese voice actors and it sounds perfect. But anyway, in general, menus on the Dreamcast looked a lot like that. They just kind of, if Sega made it,
the Dreamcast aesthetic.
Yeah, that was just the way the Dreamcast menus looked. That was how Sega made it. If Sega made the game, there's a good chance that the menus would look like that.
But 2's menu didn't quite look that bad. Of course, then again,
it didn't look great.
But I think I've only ever played like the DX version that's been on GameCube and PC and stuff. I never played it just the regular on Dreamcast. Or whatever the
It was an Battle. DX was the Sonic Adventure 1 on the GameCube. Was that on the GameCube too?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, DX was Sonic Adventure 1. Battle was Sonic Adventure 2. The menu looked that way in 2, but it was slightly updated. But it was definitely inspired by the Sonic Adventure 1 menu. But anyway, getting back to the question.
What is your favorite Sonic game and why?
I mean, you have to be more specific than favorite Sonic game because you got to split them up between 3D Sonic, which in general are terrible, and 2D Sonic, which in general are pretty good.
Unless it's episode 4, or no, Sonic 4, episodes 1 and 2.
Which I haven't played yet, but I have it on Steam. I haven't played them, but I hear...
30 seconds was enough for me. I played it until I came to the first loop-de-loop, and then the camera stays fixed on Sonic and the map rotates.
Yeah.
So it's like Sonic's feet would still be, you know,
in the same
pointing
place.
down, but then when you hit a loop-de-loop, the entire map would rotate, and as soon as I did that, I was just like, nope, that's enough for me. That's enough.
Sure, you don't want to be a pansy about it. Maybe Sonic moves too fast for you.
You know how many loop-de-loops are in Sonic games? Imagine doing that like over and over and over again. Also, I played it on a tablet, which was also awful. It made it even worse.
If you want to get specific, there's not that many loop-de-loops in Sonic games. There's only a few, and this in 2D games, which is what you were playing. There were not that many loop-de-loops because they were usually
they were always in the Green Hill Zone, which is
right.
like the entry point. And if I couldn't get past the entry point, then I wasn't going to get to the rest of it. So
with 2D Sonic games, all of the cool speed stuff would always happen in the first and sometimes second zones because that was the kind of the demo of the game that people would see is like, wow, this is a really cool game. Look at how fast I'm going. There's
and then
nothing
they get
else
the
to
puzzle
this.
part.
And they just had to hook you for a couple levels and then go, we got it now. We can put whatever we want after that.
Yeah, and they always work. Yeah, I even played Sonic 3D Blast and thought, this is really cool, but I played it in a Toys R Us. I was like, this is great. This is the future of games. And I got it, and I was like, this is not a Sonic game at all.
It's too slow.
It's really, really slow.
Fast.
This is not fast at all, so it usually worked for me.
Did that come out before or after Mario RPG? Because now that I think about it, those graphics were awfully similar. Like that pseudo-isometric viewpoint.
I'm pretty sure 3D Blast came out before Sonic or Mario RPG, but I'm not positive.
But it was after Donkey Kong Country, so
yeah,
right?
it was.
So
I'm pretty sure
the pre-rendered 3D would still have.
I'm pretty sure Mario RPG was one of the last games on the SNES. I'm pretty sure, but I mean, I had an SNES very close to the end of its life, so I'm not totally positive. Yeah.
Oh
yeah, back to the question. If you're talking about 2D Sonic games, and I even wouldn't say Sonic.
So
Sonic
you don't
4,
even classify them as the same game
Universe.
series.
Well, no, it's the same game series. It's just two. It's like saying which one you like better, bananas or like banana smoothies. It's like it's still the same thing, but it's not. That might have been a terrible metaphor, but
whatever. We'll just let you go.
They're both.
If you want to name two games, you go ahead and name.
They're both made from Sonic, but they're not the same thing.
A Sonic smoothie.
A Sonic smoothie.
Shove them in the blender, let it go.
Yeah, it's like or a banana smoothie compared to a banana sundae. They're both sweet and made of bananas, but they're not the same thing. So it's like
you could still choose
2D Sonic and 3D Sonic. They're both made from Sonic, but they're not the same Sonic games. Like they're completely different beasts. But
technically, Evil Dead and Army of Darkness are sequels, but they're also completely different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would that work?
Or if we said Evil Dead 1 and 2 are the same, they're not.
Yeah.
Even though it's the same thing, but it's not the same move. Anyway, basically what I'm saying is
What's your favorite Shadow the Hedgehog game?
My favorite 2D Sonic game is if you combine Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles into Sonic 3 and Knuckles, so it's the complete story of Sonic 3.
See, I did not know that was
lore.
I did not know that was supposed to be one long game, so I remember renting Sonic and Knuckles from the local Video Express long time ago.
When you say Video Express, that's a long time ago.
And I remember getting close to the end. I don't think I finished it, but I never played Sonic 3, so I've only gotten half the experience.
It's unfortunate. So you didn't get to crash the Death Egg at the end of Sonic 3 and then have it relaunched in
Whoa,
Sonic
spoilers.
and Knuckles.
I don't know that
Sorry.
I don't know that I've ever actually beaten a single Sonic game. I don't think I've ever played one to completion.
One.
The closest I've gotten was Sonic Generations, but then I got to that final boss and I was just like, this is awful.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense.
That game doesn't tell you what to do with the last boss at all.
No.
But
hold a button until you get close and then tap another one.
I guess. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I beat it, but I don't really know how I did. I just kind of held forward and then pressed a button when I thought I was supposed to do something. I'm still not entirely sure how you're supposed to do that or what the actual strategy was. But anyway, if you count Sonic 3 and Knuckles as one game, that is my favorite 2D Sonic game. If you don't count them as one game, then Sonic 3 is... Just because Sonic 3 has better music than Sonic and Knuckles.
Then what's your favorite 3D?
That's harder. I guess...
Since apparently they're two different things.
I'm kind of surprised you didn't jump on Generations. What else would contend with it?
Sonic Adventure 2, I guess. Sonic Adventure 2, well, that's also, my nostalgia glasses are pretty hard on it.
Yeah,
I'm not making secret of that at all. It has aged better than Sonic Adventure 1 has.
That's not saying a whole lot, because I did play it again recently, and I did finish Sonic Adventure 2 when it first came out on the GameCube, but then I played it again recently when I got, like, that whole Sonic pack on Steam, and it hasn't aged that well, although I did like the Knuckles collection sequences a lot more the second time around.
Well, you would probably hate it in Sonic Adventure 1, because the thing that was good about Sonic Adventure 2 was that you didn't pick a character and play the entire game from their perspective, which was a cool idea at first until you realized you had to play the same game 6 times all the way through. You started in different areas of the story sometimes, like you started with Tails like one level later than you started with Sonic, because you have to rescue Tails in the beginning of Sonic's level when he crashes his plane and shit. But with Sonic Adventure 2, it was just you picked good side, bad side, and it was here you start off as Sonic running through this place, and now you're Tails, doing this, and then the bad side you start off playing Dr. Robotnik, getting Shadow from the Navy base and all that stuff. So you weren't forced into playing 7 different Knuckles collectathons in a row like you were in Sonic Adventure 1.
Man, I remember how cool the shadow grinding levels were at the time, where you grinding on the rails for the whole level. That was the coolest thing.
The shoes,
super cool.
The shoes that those were based on were a sponsor of that game. Soaps were the shoes.
But the one with the little plates in the bottom.
Yeah,
I wanted some of those when I was a kid, but
we knew one person who had them, and man, he was cool. Or he thought he was.
Yeah.
He couldn't really do it, but
he didn't pull any sweet tricks around school.
He tried to.
I've never seen anybody pull a sweet trick in Soaps.
Yeah, I wonder if Soaps I really doubt Soaps are still around, but I remember...
I'm glad you told me what those called. I remember those, but I could never remember the name of them. So thanks for that.
For those that don't remember or weren't alive at the time or something, it was...
in which
Soaps.
case you shouldn't be listening to this because you swear.
There's an explicit tag on this.
Yeah. Soaps were basically people that were really into like, oh, I like skateboarding, or oh, I like rollerblading, but I can't skateboard or rollerblade. I want to do sweet grinds. They were tennis shoes, and they had like a little arch of plastic in the arch of your foot
that felt kind of like
was
a bar of soap.
Was it plastic or was it metal?
Huh?
It was plastic.
It was plastic. It was just
maybe I'm thinking of something different, because I'm pretty sure there was also
Heelys
a kind of shoe that had just like a metal plate on the bottom. That was also made for that.
I was going to say you might be thinking of Heelys, which just had the one wheel on the heel, which are still around, I think.
I remember those.
Soaps just had either, I'm pretty sure it was like a thick plastic that didn't bend very well, and you could in theory jump onto a rail with them and glide down and somehow not kill yourself.
Seems like a terrible idea.
Seems like a terrible idea.
Now that I think about the time scale of that and when those came out, I wonder if those were meant to appeal to the people who really liked Tony Hawk's Pro Skater but tried to skate and couldn't do it.
I mean,
people
like I wonder if that's who they were mainly
that
targeting.
was when Tony Hawk Pro Skater was first coming out.
Yeah.
Like Pro Skater, I would say that people wouldn't. Well, I don't know if you would put skateboarding into the mainstream or something, but it definitely wasn't super popular until after Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Oh yeah, it was a big thing after that. I remember.
So,
I even had one. I couldn't do anything with it, but I had one.
I had one too. It was terrible.
The trucks were rubber because it came from Walmart, so that they just kind of shredded.
Wow,
yeah.
Mine was better than that. At least it was still like a particle board skateboard with like the grip sandpapery stuff on the top. But
yeah,
it was.
I mean, the deck of mine was cool. It was that the axles on there, instead of being metal, they were rubber with like the wheels attached to them on the sides.
So they just kind of bent.
They kind of bent a little bit. Well, I mean, it was all under the skateboard, so they would bend whenever you. But then they shredded really easily. So after just a couple of weeks, suddenly that board started bending really fast and really soon, and couldn't really be stood on. Yeah. I never was able to skateboard, but I did have a pogo stick, and I could rock that pogo stick. I could still rock a pogo stick.
Unfortunately, I don't think there was
that didn't blow
Frank Johnson's Extreme Pogo Stick on the PlayStation.
Well, see, because I had the state of the art, because the company Razer had the Razer scooters. But the less popular product that they also had was also a state-of-the-art pogo stick. And the reason it was so advanced was because instead of having a spring, there was an air pump in the middle of it. So you would turn it upside down, and then you would
pressurize it.
You would sort of unscrew the stopper on the bottom that you would actually be landing on, and you would pump it full of air, and you pump it like 7 or 8 times. It would fill up the air chamber, and it was basically it was a pressurized, so then you could bounce. You were bouncing on air, and it folded up like a Razor scooter did. So it was just super cool looking.
I can just imagine like if you bounced on that enough and you wore it down enough, that eventually you would go down once and the cap would fail, and when you went back up, it would shoot you into the sky when it came off. Like,
I wish that would have happened.
That had to have happened to someone.
I had a much cheaper pogo stick when I was younger. That was just like metal with some rubber grips on the pedals and the handles. But I got too heavy for that. And then once you got past a certain weight, it would just go, and it would just sink down and then not go back up again. But the nice thing about the Razor one was that since you could pump air into it, you could pump more air if you were heavier, so it had a much heavier weight capacity. And I never outgrew it.
So
I could probably still use it. I think it's still at my parents' house.
So the air pressure was higher and it had a higher risk of exploding.
For Season 3 DVD.
So the metal one did you have? Was it the one that was like the lime green and pink pogo stick?
No, that was the metal one that I had before.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
That's the one everyone.
That's the one everyone had. So that's what I'm saying. I bet it was lime green and pink.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
yep, it sure was.
Yep, that's the one everyone had. I had one of those too.
Did you master it?
I am not good at pogo sticking. Oh. I am okay with admitting that to myself.
That's one of the only talents in life that I have, is that I'm not very good at anything else, but I can do some sweet pogo moves.
I have seen professional pogo sticking before.
Really?
Yeah.
In person or just like YouTube videos?
I mean, I think I saw it in person one time, like a street performer or something. Uh-huh. Like, there's some moves you can do, like you bounce up in the air and then like swing it between your legs or something.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I've also seen, I can't remember if this actually happened or I dreamed it or something, but I might have actually dreamed the freestyle pogo sticking too. I don't know. But I remember seeing a guy on a pogo stick that was also on a trampoline. So it was like he would go down on the trampoline on the pogo stick, and he would just shoot up in the air and do backflips and stuff.
Man,
that's just ridiculous.
I'm pretty sure I've seen that before, either in my own head or in real life.
I either made that up or I didn't.
That's basically what I'm saying. I seem to remember when I was younger seeing someone doing that at like... Because do you remember at the mall, they would sometimes have the circus come by there?
Uh-huh.
Which is really weird to say out loud. Like, you remember when the circus was at the mall? Because
was it in the mall? Or
yeah, it was in the mall. It was in the food court.
Like, they wouldn't do the full show. They would just have performers there, basically.
Did they have, like, ponies in the food court?
No.
It was just the performers. It was basically just publicity. Come see us mistreat animals kind of thing.
Well, there weren't any animals.
Come see the rest of the fair out in the parking lot.
They were actual, like, at the circus itself.
Yeah.
They were promoting the circus.
Yeah, they had at the convention center, they would have, like, Ringling Brothers or something, which are apparently a really shitty company.
I saw them in 2006 in Los Angeles when I was out there for a summer class, and it was the worst thing. It was awful.
Yep.
Like, I guess they were trying to find ways to still be relevant to the hip young folk. So it was all about, like, it was the whole show had like an overarching story to it.
Oh, God.
And it was like the main kid was like, I don't care about the circus. I much prefer video games. So it was supposed to be like all of the shows were based around the kids sort of like being inside a video game or something. God. It was really stupid.
I remember really going, I guess it was like 3 years ago now or so. It was either in 2010 or 2011, and it was Ringling Brothers and stuff. And we went to like the pre-show thing too, where they like bring out the elephants and you can watch him paint a picture or something like that. And they were really, the handlers were really trying hard to really emphasize that we don't abuse our animals or anything. And all I could think the entire time was, yeah, when this is a wildlife preserve and not a circus, I'll believe you.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that sounds really lame what they did. Also, the whole mistreating animals thing doesn't help either. Yeah. But
yeah, man, that ain't
I
cool.
totally forgot when I was going with that.
Show me
bringing that back to Sonic.
You show me a circus animal that it's better off in the circus than they are out in the wild, and I'll believe that you don't mistreat your animals.
Well, I mean, the casino night levels in Sonic, those didn't have any animals. I mean,
those weren't a circus; they were a casino.
Yeah.
I guess, but I mean, in Sonic 3, it literally had the music was da 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 da, like that. It was Circus / Casino, but it was called Casino Night. But there is that.
I like those levels, but they were also the most infuriating.
I also like that it was in Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 introducing kids to gambling.
Yeah.
Like you had the slots.
Hey, you can win some coins.
You can win lots of coins. You can lose it all.
Yeah.
Or actually, you didn't lose it all. You only lost 100. But if you had more than 100 rings, you would just lose 100 rings. But which was cool if you knew how to game it a little bit, because you could go in, get over 100 rings. And then when you lost them all, if it put you down to like 99 rings or something, and you got one more ring, another extra life.
Yeah.
You could totally game the system if you really wanted to. Not that you needed lots of lives in that game, but
yeah.
Pretty cool.
Honestly, I've only I thought Knuckles was cool as heck, but I never played a game with Knuckles in it. So
you ever played Knuckles Chaotix? What?
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to actually say Sonic 2 is my favorite, just because it's the only one. It's not the only one I've played. It's the one I've played the most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people will probably agree with that, just because Sonic 2 was probably the hardest one.
Yeah,
that one was
the biggest step up in between sequels. I think like the leap between 1 and 2 was pretty big. I think. Yeah. Because then you had Tails, and you could do the spin dash because you couldn't spin dash in 1, and all that cool stuff.
I remember getting it on Xbox Live because it was on the arcade, and thinking, "Oh man, I'm gonna fuck this game up." I was terrible at video games when I was a kid, and I basically rage quit.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's exactly what I did when I bought that the Sonic Complete Pack on Steam. I was like, I'm finally gonna play through all of these old Sonic games, and I still haven't.
No.
Shame on you.
Yeah.
Had way more patience for those games.
That was the same pack that you bought, but I accidentally got it for way cheaper because they had like an error for like a couple of hours.
Nice.
They had all of the Sonic games. They were supposed to be like $20, but they accidentally had it marked down to 7. It was like 1 through 3 Knuckles and
both Adventures, I think.
Both Adventures
and Sonic CD.
I think it might have had Generations in it too, and it had both of the racing games. Like it was all the Sonic games on Steam, which you would be happy to know that there is not an option to play 3 and Knuckles separately. It's all just one game. So
good.
Yeah,
because I was really pissed off about that when I got the Ultimate Genesis Collection for the 360, because it had
that's got Sonic some good games on it.
That game has Mean Bean Machine and Gain Ground and everything. Gain Ground's an awesome game.
You cannot if you don't collect enough extra dudes in Gain Ground, it is impossible to win the last fight because you have to sacrifice men.
you will not have enough people to form your human shield in the last.
Yep. I can't even imagine trying to beat that by yourself.
I mean, you can probably say that about a lot of old games.
Yeah. Made to eat those coins.
Yep. Well, yeah, like you play Metal Slug or something now, it's like, holy crap, I'm dying every 5 seconds. Yep. And unless you're just really good at finding your hitbox and, having spent a lot of money practicing it, you're going to be terrible at it. Even though Metal Slug is one of the best arcade games ever made.
Yeah, it really is.
But
since we're on the topic of Sonic the Hedgehog games, a lot of people probably have not seen or heard your response to this. So I just wanted you to say briefly, how would you describe Sonic Unleashed?
It's a shit pizza.
Could you elaborate on that for the audience, please?
Yeah, it's okay. So let's say you went about, I don't know, a year or two without having pizza, and it's not because you didn't like pizza, you just couldn't have pizza, and everyone loves pizza. So you really want pizza, and the pizza you have been given in the past was not very good pizza. So, or like the pizza you've had last was very much declining in quality. So,
not the pizza from your younger years.
It wasn't the pizza that you remember eating a while back. It wasn't just joyous and happy and fast moving and blue.
In fact, because Sonic Unleashed was after 2K6, right? So the last pizza you had left a really bitter taste in your mouth. Was
literally just a pile of shit instead of shit pizza. So there was an upgrade at least. So the last taste that you had of pizza was someone just shitting on a plate and giving it to you, pretty much. So it wasn't actually pizza. So finally, they're like, this company that makes the pizza, it is the only company in the world that makes pizza, says, okay, everyone, we're making this new pizza. It is going to be delicious. It's going to be exactly what you've asked for. It's going to be great. It's going to be really fast moving in the way you remember it. Fast moving pizza. So you're like, oh, this is great. But then a few months later, before the release date of this much anticipated pizza, they're like, by the way, one of the toppings on this pizza that we really think people will enjoy is shit. People have been asking for this. We know that pizza times are changing. You know, the demands of the pizza eating public are different now. Like, we can't just give you a delicious pizza and say this is all we've done, because you've had that before. You've had that pizza before. You can go back and eat that pizza that you had before. It's
anytime.
Easy.
It's in the freezer.
Yeah, it's in the freezer. Whatever. It's freezer burnt to shit, but whatever. So
the analogies keep coming.
So you're like, I really want to eat this pizza. Maybe I can just pick the shit off. Maybe I can take the shit off and just eat the pizza and it'll be fine. So you order one of these pizzas. You were like, yes, I would like the shit pizza. You get the shit pizza delivered to you, or you go to Best Buy and get the shit pizza delivered to you, or someone gives you a shit pizza for Christmas, as was my case. So you sit down and...
Who gave you the shit pizza?
What?
Who gave you the shit pizza?
I want to say.
Okay.
Because that'll make me sound like I'm unthankful for the gift.
Right.
That's like whenever I got Superman 64 for Christmas and I didn't have the heart to say... Yeah,
you wasted your money.
Yeah. So I saw him a couple months later. He was like, how was that Superman game? I was like, oh, it was great.
It was great.
It was so good.
And it's like burning in the microwave behind you. But anyway, you get this shit pizza, and this shit pizza is set up in a really funny way. It's set up, each slice is in its own little, like, container. You have to pick up the container, and you have to open it. All the containers are locked, by the way, except one. You pick up this locked container, and it has a slice of pizza in it. You open it up, and it's like, oh, great, this one wasn't locked. I don't know why these other ones are locked, whatever. So you pick up this pizza, and you eat the first slice of pizza, and it is really fucking good pizza.
There's no shit on that slice?
There's no shit on it. Like, there's some of the we'll get to that.
Okay.
So, that slice of pizza is really good. It's not only reminds you of the pizza you used to eat when you were younger. It only reminds you of that, but in some ways it's been updated.
It's new and exciting.
It's new and exciting. It's like, this is what I wanted. This is the pizza I wanted them to make forever. This is good. They should keep making this. They should take the slice of pizza and put it into a whole pizza. But then you notice, after you eat that slice of pizza, the next box of the slice of pizza unlocks.
Ominous.
Ominously, it's like a magic box pizza, whatever. There's computers involved. So you open up, you pick up this case, and you open it up, you're like, oh great, another slice of pizza, this is great. I don't know why they're locked in boxes like this, but okay, whatever. So you eat, you open up this box, and it is just the most disgusting, horrible shit pizza slice. Like, it is just, it's like someone called the pizza place and said, I want a shit pizza, extra shit. Give me as much shit as you can put on there and still call it pizza and not
just
shit.
Dough and then runny, leaky shit. Pieces of corn and gum sticking out of it.
That's pretty gross, but sure.
Hey, you said it was
bestiality.
It is, yeah. No, that's 2K6 that had implied bestiality.
Okay,
that's Pizza 2006. That I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That wasn't Pizza 2006. That was just the shit pile on a plate. So you're like, oh my god, but these cases are kind of transparent. You can kind of see through them. So you look over at the next piece, the next box that's still locked, and you can kind of see through it. And you're like, oh man, but that's right there. That's
the good pizza.
That's the good pizza.
That's the best pizza I've ever had in my life.
So you're like, yeah, it is. Like, it may not be the best pizza you've ever had in your life, but it's the pizza that you've wanted.
Right.
It is exactly what you wanted. So you're like, I see how this works. I ate the last one and then it unlocked in order. So whatever, I'm going to hold my nose and I'm going to just swallow it all in one bite and get it over with. It's fine.
And it won't unlock if you just, like, throw away the shit pizza.
No,
like,
you have to
eat it.
You have to eat the shit pizza.
It knows.
It knows. Like, it's psychic, mechanical, computerized shit pizza. So you eat it. You eat the shit pizza. This is way longer than I meant for it to be. But you eat that shit pizza slice, and then, lo and behold, the next one unlocks. You're like, oh, finally, yes, I can wash the taste of this shit pizza out of my mouth.
I feel a little ill, but I'm excited.
But I'm going to keep going because it's good pizza. So you open it up, and you look at it, and you're like, oh, this is going to be great. You savor it. It doesn't last as long as you want as the last one did, but it's like, damn it, it's still good pizza. Smaller. It's a little bit smaller. It's slightly less pizza on the slice, or it's a more narrow slice of pizza, right. I guess, like those little ones that you get sometimes. You eat it, and you're like, oh, it's great, and then the next one opens, and it's another slice of shit pizza, and it's bigger. Yep. And it's bigger than the last one. And you look, and you just think, I'm going to think ahead here, and you look around the rest of the pizza. It's not a standard size pizza. It's fairly big. It's about that size.
It's 2 feet in diameter.
It's 2 feet in diameter. It is a very large pizza. So there's lots of slices to it. So you look ahead and you see, as it goes along, not only do the good slices get smaller, the shit pieces get way bigger. They get way bigger. And it will take you long. You cannot possibly take them all in one gulp. You're going to have to bite into that and chew it. And swallow it multiple times. And you're just like, by the time you finish that last piece, before you even go to the next shit pizza that's bigger, you're like, that was really good pizza.
But is it worth it?
It's not worth it. I'm glad I got to taste the good pizza.
Twice. Taste it twice.
But I still have kind of sick from
I'm still feeling very ill from eating that shit pizza. Anyway, that's what Sonic Unleashed is like. For those wondering.
So if someone gave you a save file where they've unlocked all the levels, you would play it though.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You'd play all the good pieces.
Yeah. And also
there is a mod for Sonic Generations that adds all of the Unleashed levels to it, isn't there?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there is.
Yeah,
like they add all the maps to it.
It's Sonic Generations is like, it's not a shit pizza. It is like someone saying, "Hey, remember when you ate that shit pizza? That was great, wasn't it?" It's someone thinking you're looking fondly back on the shit pizza. And while
it's like instead of it being this weird torture that they
because the nostalgia levels would be like levels from Sonic 1, 2, 3. Adventure, but then it's like there's the Sonic 2K6 retrospective level. Yeah. It's like, who wants that?
There's also Sonic... Well, I don't think there's a Sonic Unleashed level in it, actually. I'm not positive.
Is there?
There is Sonic... No, there is Sonic Unleashed. Yeah, it was like the first level of Sonic Unleashed as in Generations, I'm pretty sure. Because I remember
Which was one of the good pizza levels in the first place, correct?
Right. That was the first slice of good, not shit pizza. So, instead of being just a shit pizza, it was you getting to play the good pizza, and then while you're eating the good pizza, someone comes in and is just sitting there talking to you like, "Man, remember when you ate that chunky, disgusting shit pizza? That was fun, wasn't it?" And you're like, "No, not really," and you keep eating your pizza. But then you get to the later slices, and the thing that person said is in your head. You're sitting there eating the good pizza, and it's like, man, I remember when this was covered in shit, and that's making it taste slightly worse because I'm thinking of that. That's how Sonic Generations is.
You couldn't have thought of a less disgusting analogy.
You're the one that said it had corn and shit in it.
Yeah.
Sonic Generations is the one... Sonic Generations is the one where it's like, you have the old gameplay and then the new gameplay in the same level, so it's sort of like they give you a slice of pizza that has like your favorite toppings on it.
For me, it's
like they'll give me like one slice of Hawaiian pizza for me, and then a slice of
olive pizza
of like anchovy pizza or something that's like, it's still pizza and it's not shit, but it's not that great either. But you have to eat them both at the same time. It's like, if you want another piece of the Hawaiian pizza, you got to eat another piece of the anchovy pizza first.
And then there are the pieces of the pizza that are things you liked as a kid, but now you're like, God, how did I like them?
I don't know. I mean, I never got that feeling. I never got that feeling when I was eating.
Well, I'm talking more in general of looking back at older video games too.
No, looking back at older pizza.
Older pizza.
Yeah, older pizza.
As far as the actual question goes about the whole favorite Sonic game thing, I was gonna say something like, I don't know, Sonic 2 or Generations and stuff, but then I was thinking about it, and I don't know if this would technically count as a Sonic game, but I really like All Stars Racing Transformed.
That's a Sonic game.
That game is awesome.
What about Mean Bean Machine?
I love it so much.
Mean Bean Machine's a Sonic. I mean, it's based on Puyo Puyo Pop, which is
Doki Doki Panic.
Puyo Puyo Pop was like the thing. I mean, it was pretty much just a reskin of that game.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I would consider that a Sonic game, but
I'm counting it.
It's Sonic Extended Universe.
I'm counting it because that was pretty fun. I beat Brian at Mean Bean Machine.
And you got so excited you ripped off your shirt.
I ripped off my shirt and I ran around the house.
That actually happened.
Yeah, that's not me making that up.
Because I had a game for...
that was a really dark time.
I had a game for Windows 95, and it was the Lion King's Timon and Pumbaa's Jungle Games.
Same
and
thing.
it was Timon and Pumbaa, and they had their little arcade jungle, and you could choose from like 6 different mini games, which would probably be... It could probably stand to be like a tablet game by now, but back then, it was a good value for money. You had like 6 different things. Like there was a pinball, and there was like a slingshot. There was one where stuff would be falling. It was kind of like Space Invaders, except Pumbaa would be burping at them.
Yeah.
But one of them was, like you said, like a reskin of Mean Bean Machine / Puyo Puyo Pop, where it was like throwing bugs down a tree trunk, and then whenever they were sabotaging you, they'd throw rocks down it and stuff like that. And it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I think that's on Super Nintendo too. Anyway, going back to the original question, again, I don't think you ever actually said what was your favorite 3D Sonic game.
It's hard to say because... Well, also saying, I think that Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, it's saying if it's a Sonic game, would you consider Mario Kart a Mario game?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I mean...
sure.
No, I mean,
Sonic and All-Stars Racing is...
definitively part of the Mario
You could
franchise.
probably say it's Mario Extended Universe, whereas Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed is Sonic Extended Universe, whatever that word.
Except Sonic's
Sega.
Sonic's Extended Universe also has Danica Patrick in it.
Yeah, for some reason. Danica Patrick and the football manager.
And the guy from Shenmue and
Wreck-It Ralph.
And Wreck-It Ralph and Nights into Dreams or whatever.
I mean, I say Sonic Extended Universe, it's really more like Sega Extended Universe, whereas it'd be like saying Super Smash Brothers is a Mario game when it's more like just a Nintendo game.
I imagine if they did do a Mario Kart that also had like Link and Samus and like the Smash Brothers cast in it as a like in the kart racing, that'd be pretty cool.
I'm actually kind of surprised that they haven't done that yet. I've never thought about that before.
Yeah.
Huh, that's weird.
Maybe someday.
Maybe
it'll be as good as Sony and PlayStation All-Stars.
God, we could only hope. That's really easy to do.
Say 3 guys that have never played it, but whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I have seen it being played, and I was explained to how it works, and I'm like, that's like Super Smash Brothers, but bad. That's just really crap sounding.
So would you say that the plot of, say, Sonic Unleashed, would you say that does a disservice to the lore of Sonic in general?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was
so it takes the otherwise excellent storyline lore and just ruins it.
Oh, okay. Well, if you're going to be patronizing, no one ever said Sonic lore was good. I just happen to know too much about it because I played the crap out of it when I was a kid.
And watch the shows.
Because there's, whenever someone says, "Hey, do you remember the Sonic cartoon?" You have to say, "Are you talking about the Freedom Fighters cartoon or the Julia White cartoon?" They were 2 completely separate things.
Or it could be Sonic X, or was it Underground is another one?
Sonic X, I can't remember which one is the gotta go fast one, but I think it was Sonic X. Was it?
X is the one that had all the voice casts that were in...
the thing that you worked on?
The one, yeah. Because one thing that I think it explains a few things is in a project I had to work on for school recently, one of the actors that was in it was the guy who voiced Sonic the Hedgehog from... I think it was like 2005 until 2010 to 11, something like that.
So he was the voice of 2K6.
He was 2K. He was Sonic and Shadow from 2005 onward. So like 2K6 and Unleashed and all of that stuff. And he did say that that he recorded the dialogue for Sonic for 2K6 and Unleashed at the same time. So I guess they were made really fast or something like that. Or at the same time or something.
That's really weird because their storylines aren't on the same level at all. In fact, I would say that the quote-unquote storyline for Sonic Unleashed is a direct response to the shitty storyline of Sonic 2K6. It's like, okay, everyone, we messed up. Here's a goofy storyline that's goofy.
So for those of us who are not familiar with it, what is it about the storyline of Sonic 2K6 that is so abhorrent? What does it do so wrong?
What about it is good? I can't think of a single thing about it that's good.
Implied bestiality is not a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, Sonic has gigantic hands, and it is implied that he falls in love with a human princess. Princess of what? I don't know.
Wait, what does the size of his hands?
I don't know. He just has giant hands.
That big.
He just has giant hands, and that's really bothersome to me. It's just really weird because it makes him look so cartoony, and he's wearing the cartoon white gloves and everything, even though he'd look weird without them. And it's just like this human person.
Can you just imagine him with like human hands with slender fingers?
Oh, gross.
Don't worry, Amy.
No, that's not her name.
I know.
I actually
I don't remember the human name.
It was Princess. I can't remember. No, it was like a human name, I think, but I can't remember what it was. But just imagine Sonic with his cartoony proportions, giant hands, big feet, and a mostly appropriately proportioned human being who is taller than him because...
Like, it would be different if the human looked really cartoony and they were like the same height or something like that.
But it is a human person and a cartoon fucking blue hedgehog. And it's like... And one of the things that Sonic says in it, I will never forget this, is when I'm scared... This is paraphrasing, actually, but he's like, when I'm scared and I don't know what to do, I run away really fast. That is not something you should teach people at all. It's like, run away from your problems. That is
as fast as you can.
As fast as you can. That is the moral for the kids that play Sonic 2K6.
So not only was it a bad storyline, but it was also morally compromised, is what you're saying. Like, it was also...
Well, yeah, the implied bestiality has something to do with that. But...
No. It also provided a bad moral compass for any children playing, is what you're saying. So
I guarantee you no children got to that part, but yes.
If you run fast enough, your problems cannot catch you.
I don't know. I got pretty far in some pretty bad games when I was younger because that was all,
Yeah.
Have
you only get one game every 6 months.
Have you ever tried playing Armored Core 2? Those controls are absolute dog shit. The analog sticks don't work.
I completely finished the Toy Story 2 game on the N64 at least once. That one was pretty...
What was the mech game that had the giant controller?
Steel Battalion.
Yeah. Steel Battalion.
Yeah.
I always wanted to try that out. It just looked really cool.
I remember seeing it in EGM, and they were like, look at this crazy new game that's coming. It has a controller that costs $250 or something. And
I'm a sucker for mech games.
And it's like, there was such an involved controller that it had a button for your windshield wipers on it that worked. And
an eject button. I remember that too.
And an eject button. If I ever played it, I'd probably press that first.
In fact, I think it was something like the game had permadeath, and the only way that you could avoid permadeath is to eject from your thing if you knew you were about to die.
Right.
Which is pretty...
They actually made a new game for that.
Ooh.
In that No, not Ooh. Not Ooh. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was called Steel Battalion, but it was a Kinect-only game for the 360, which... that should tell you everything you need to know right there, but it was...
trying to say Kinect Star Wars wasn't a masterpiece?
I never played it, so I don't know. I can't
tell
if
moves
I
like
can't
Solo.
I can't tell if that's sarcasm or not. Is it sarcasm?
Yes.
Just continue.
Okay, it must be terrible then.
Instead and it was like Jagger, it has moves like Solo.
It was I mean, I don't really remember where I was going with this other than that they remade it for the Kinect and it was terrible. Yeah. It was like the controller didn't actually work and you had to control everything through Kinect motions because of that. So it's like but the Kinect is so imprecise that you'd be like fire, like moving your right hand forward and the mech would like roll forwards or something.
Yeah.
And it's like this game cannot be completed.
Didn't they make like a super hardcore sort of reboot of Bomberman that basically looked like a mech game?
No, it wasn't a mech game. You were playing as...
He just looked like a mech or something like that?
Yeah, it was...
Or was that Vector Man?
No, that was
a remake of that.
They were remaking Vector Man, but they never finished it. It was shelved, probably for good reason. The Bomberman remake, it was just called Bomberman, and it was like a
really dumb.
It was really dumb. It was basically a Coliseum type thing. It's like, oh, you're a robot with a human soul, I think, and you're thrown into this Coliseum to fight the other robots to earn your freedom or something. But it was Bomberman. It was just, it's still, you start on the grid and you place bombs. It was just, super edgy and cool and hip and stuff. But it was terrible.
I am a sucker for those mech games. I remember when I was a kid, this was back when Toonami was my jam.
Yep.
Just watched Dragon Ball Z and Gundam Wing.
Yeah.
And Gundam Wing and Robotech.
Robotech came on Toonami?
Yep, sure did. That's where I first saw it. That's the first time I ever cried at an anime. Actually, it's the only time, but...
Right, nice save, yeah.
Well, I did cry again when I bought the box set and watched it all again.
Whatever, I just admitted that Air Bud made me cry in the last podcast.
That's nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
No, it was crazy. They killed off a main character. I was like, I don't know how to deal with this. I'm a shitty little kid. But I remember I had this dream that I wanted to, when I got rich and famous from being a fighter pilot / orchestral musician, because those were the two things I wanted to be when I grew up.
Maybe you could just be in the Air Force's band.
I wanted to do Air Force and be a fighter pilot.
Yeah.
Because I was really big into like my summer camps. I went to Aviation Challenge, which was Air Force run camp. It was like boot camp. It was
like,
awesome.
I thought it was like space camp, but with flying.
It was, and we made fun of the space camp kids.
Awesome.
And it was like the only time during that age bracket that I actually felt cool.
Yeah.
Because I was actually pretty good at it, because it was like the simulators and stuff were like a video game.
Yeah.
And I was good at video games. So
I always wanted to go to like Space Camp or Aviation Challenge, and I only live like 45 minutes away from that, and I never got to do that. So.
I loved it. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to buy a warehouse and turn it into this arcade. And I was going to do it in Pelham, because that's a great market to do this kind of thing in.
Yeah.
And have all the coolest games and stuff. And I wanted to design my own game. There was along the lines of the flight simulators that I had done at Aviation Challenge and Gundam Wing. I wanted to make...
Robotech?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to make Robotech games. And I actually did play the Robotech video game on PS2 that came out, and God, that's a fun game.
That's a fun game. I played that too.
You didn't have any programming skills, and you couldn't do any art, but you had a lot of ideas.
I had an idea.
You were the idea guy.
I was an idea kid.
Yeah.
It's acceptable to be an idea kid, not an idea guy.
Yeah. So when this was like from 6th grade going into 7th grade, my dad took me down to Mexico for 2 weeks for this trip, and I spent a lot of time in the arcades there and stuff, because I was like, scenery and culture. Fuck that! I want to play. I want to play Metal Slug in Spanish.
I would do that. Yeah.
I became really popular because I was like, you want to be my friend? Play video games with me. Here's a coin to play with me. Flip, not even counting it.
Yeah, just flipped it.
Just buying people's friendship through
basically
arcade quarters.
Just making it rain.
My dad, I would just be like, Dad, I'm out of coins. He'd be like in a cafe. And
drinking away his disappointment of you not wanting to do things.
Yeah, and he'd just be like, "Here's another $5. Go crazy."
Go nuts.
I learned a word that he didn't know, "Fecha," which is like a token for the arcades, and he was like, "Oh, you learned something." So that's what I learned in my 2 weeks in Mexico.
That's how to say arcade coin or whatever token.
So one of these arcades had. It looked like the kind of sit-down arcade machine you would do for like Need for Speed or something like that. Yeah. Except it was kind of circular, and it had two like controls for thrust and everything like that. It was a cockpit, and it was a mech game.
Oh.
And I played it, and I was like, "This is my game.
I need this.
This is it. This is it." And since then, I have never seen that arcade machine.
Do you remember what it was called?
I have no idea because it was in Spanish. It had Japanese writing on the side, and then everything else was in Spanish.
Huh.
So I have no idea.
Well, if anyone knows what that game was, send us an email at podcast@THAC.tv.
It was very It wasn't like the I guess the American mech kind of games where they're all kind of lumbery and stuff. It was definitely more of the Gundam and Robotech kind of robots. But it was a lot of fun, and oh man, I was a natural. I was like, man, when they build airplanes that can transform into robots, I'm gonna be top of the class.
So if Pacific Rim ever becomes a reality,
I'm the guy. I am the guy.
So that is. I guess
I have an incredible KDA on Robotech's video game. Okay,
I have. So I guess
I do. That was one of the few games that I would actually get online with. I think it had online capabilities. Even if it didn't, it was just I would play Anthony and kick his ass.
Wait, you're saying Robotech had online?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, if it did have online, I do remember getting on there and winning a lot. If not, I just beat up Anthony a whole lot.
Anthony, our friend.
Yeah, our friend from high school, and then he was like, "I don't want to play this game anymore."
I'm losing in my own house. I don't want to do this.
So then you switch to WoW, right?
Yeah.
There you go. Full circle.
So you would put that game if you had the money and you could buy one arcade cabinet, you would get that if you knew how to get it.
If I knew how to get it, I might get that one.
Okay.
I would seriously consider it.
I would get Space Harrier.
Yeah.
I would get this cabinet I've only seen once, and it was called Gunman Wars. And what it was,
What a perfect name.
It was covered in brightly colored Japanese writing, and the controller was just a giant futuristic space rifle that had a stick on the bottom of it, and you would push the gun back and forth and left and right as the joystick to move your guys. So you moved with the gun, and it was 2 players, and it had a little camera above the screen, so it would take your picture, and it would have your picture over the team, and it was it was almost like a mech type thing mixed with paintball, where it was just like you had a couple of minutes against this other team of robots, or in fact it was the player 2, you'd be playing against each other, and you'd have your team of like 4 dudes, and each dude, whenever you shot it, would drop like some crystals, and then whatever team had the most crystals at the end of it won. And me and a friend of mine found it at one of those little like putt/arcade places they have near the beach or whatever, and we played that one game probably a solid 2 hours or so. Nice. It was awesome, and I've never seen it since then.
So if anyone knows where to find
my unnamed game,
mystery Spanish mech fighting game,
yep,
or
with probable origins in Japan,
right? Space Harrier arcade cabinet. I don't care if it's the sit-down Space Harrier or the stand-up Space Harrier. I want one of them. And Gunman Wars. Gunmen, one word.
Like gunmen is in plural?
Gunmen, yes. Okay. Gunmen Wars.
It should be noted we have not done any internet searching for this. So.
I've done some internet searching for Space Harrier, but the only one I could find are like shipped from the UK. Yeah. So it's like the really high price of an arcade cabinet mixed with the really high price of freight shipping and shipping from the UK to here. It's kind of expensive.
Like the shipping is as expensive as the cabinet,
if not more.
Yeah.
So it's.
I'm just going to
one
get on
day.
Google.
Well, I mean, considering how much international shipping just for a DVD or 2 apparently cost, I can only imagine what a freight, arcade cabinet would cost to ship overseas.
This kind of thing is like freight, as in an 18-wheeler is going to drive up to your house. The driver's going to have to get out and unload it for you.
Woo-hoo.
So,
but he's not going to take up the stairs, so good luck with that.
Yeah, you can pay them to take it up the stairs, and it's like $70 more or something. And what's that on top of your $10,000
at that point,
shipping?
Screw it. I'd pay $70 instead of carrying one of those cabinets up myself. Yeah, they can have.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Hell no.
That's one of the reasons there was a time, once upon a time, where I had some money set aside to buy an arcade cabinet, and the only thing that stopped me from doing it, besides people mentioning it too, were like, "That's stupid, don't do that."
Realistic financial expectations, taxes,
right? Was when I move, this is gonna suck to move, so I didn't buy it because of that.
Yeah, that's
was it an Apollo 13 pinball machine?
No, I wish it was.
That's an arcade cabinet. That's what you do as an added expense celebratory purchase for owning your first house.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm probably going to be here at least 10 years.
Yeah.
I'll get my arcade cabinet.
One day I will get an arcade cabinet and or pinball machine, and it'll be awesome. And it'll be Space Harrier.
And all your kids' friends will think your house is the coolest.
Yeah. Or they'll be like, what's this old-ass game?
Hey, you want to play this game? Let me hook you up with some lives.
Yeah.
And then they get the key from you, they open up the back, and there you just flick the little live switch for the coins.
For the free play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or there was a kid I went to high school with. His parents were both doctors, so they had a really nice house and everything. And then down in the garage, They had like 6 arcade cabinets down there, and it was awesome. It was like there
nice.
was some driving game, there was a Mortal Kombat, there was NFL Blitz, Galaga, Mrs. Pac-Man, and I think there was at least one other one, and it was pretty cool. Sadly, I only got to go over to that house once, and I wish I'd...
The one that I was actually looking at wasn't even an arcade cabinet. It was the martini table style, where you have to... It's basically like a table, and you sit down in a chair. It was that... I think it was Galaga. It was what was on. No, it was Galaga and...
Pac-Man.
Either Mrs. Pac-Man or Pac-Man. And
there
you could switch between them. And they had 2 players, so you could play Galaga with 2 people.
There was a little Italian place in Coleman called Pasquale's, and I remember that was the one thing, was they always had 2 arcade machines, and the second one always rotated, but the first one was always one of those martini tables like you were talking about with Mrs. Pac-Man in it, and they might still have it, but I remember it got so old that the map was all messed up whenever you tried to play it, so it was virtually unplayable after that because it was so glitchy with the way the map looked and everything. But it was still pretty cool.
Our friend Anthony, that we've mentioned a couple of times, his dad owned a grocery store when we were in high school and stuff, so they had arcade cabinets and stuff like that, and he had one at his house. I can't remember the name of it, but it was one of those like old, like not quite Atari era arcade cabinets, but really close, where the games were just impossibly hard because one goal: spend those dollars.
Yeah.
Was it the wireframe Star Wars arcade?
No,
that would be awesome.
No, was it like the
I would
Tron
love one of those.
thing?
No. It was some ninja game kind of thing. It was like really cartoony and everything.
Oh, okay.
Like it looked like around, I guess, regular Nintendo levels what the arcade cabinets looked like then.
Oh, okay.
Where
like
it was
Rampage or something.
Yeah, it was a little bit ahead of the console systems at the time. So
like the Ninja Turtles one or something like that.
it wasn't a very fun game because it was so hard for me, at least. But I don't know.
At least you didn't spend any money to play.
That's right. At least it was free.
My brother, who writes for a newspaper around here, he got to go to... There was a place that opened up. It was like a secondhand store or something. It was like a thrift store, but it wasn't like associated with any other thing. It was just...
It wasn't like one of the Salvation Army things.
No. It was kind of like... I guess it was like a self-owned pawn shop, I guess. Where people just bring in a thing and like, here, sell this for me, and then he takes a cut of it. So I guess a pawn shop.
It was like people taking like their clothes.
Consignment?
Consignment. It was like a consignment shop.
It was it's like that. And he had... My brother did not tell me about this until after it was sold. He had a Donkey Kong cabinet. Worked. Like, was fine. $200.
What?
$200. That is free. That is like free. Like, you just had to provide...
Even with the shipping and stuff, you would still come out below what a cabinet
I mean, you would have to... It was a brick and mortar store, so you had to go in there and you have to have something to get it out with. But $200. It worked.
I mean, if you're going to pay... For only $200, you could still like rent a U-Haul or something like that.
Yeah, that's no problem. Like I'm saying, that is basically free for an arcade cabinet.
Yeah,
I would pay that for Donkey Kong. Even
I'm
though
upset for you right now.
Yeah, my brother was just like, yeah, I really wanted that Donkey Kong cabinet, but I didn't really have any space in my house for it. I was like, how much was it? He said like $200. I just wanted to slap him. Be like, you should have bought it and then given it to me.
Yeah,
I would have paid you $200 for it. You could have had $200 right now. That's.
So
I would have paid you $400. You could have made a profit.
So in conclusion, Shan, I hope that answers your question of what is your favorite Sonic game and why.
Hey, now we don't have to come up with any like main talking points.
Yeah.
Well, we were going to talk about your little new gadget a little bit. I guess you got your little.
But we'll save that one.
We can save that.
Okay.
So. Let's. I feel like we've peaked here. Let's not.
Yeah, let's not bring it down after that heated Sonic discussion there.
That turned into, man, I wish I had an arcade cabinet.
And also, if you can find these arcade cabinets we want on the cheap, let us
buy
know.
them for us and send them to
At
us because you owe us. Okay.
Send them to our PO box.
Yeah. Keep sending me various mech related arcade cabinets until I find the one I was thinking of.
To our PO box that is the size
probably
of my
wasn't
fist.
even as fun as I remember it being.
Yeah.
It was just close enough to what I wanted.
Yeah, I remember when I was at this last thing I'm going to say is I remember back when I was younger and I had to go to the hospital for something. It was at like a children's hospital. and they had like the kids' room thing,
Right?
And they had
sweet.
Yeah, they had like
console systems.
Yeah, well, no, they had an arcade cabinet there.
Nice.
And since we're talking about games that we don't remember the name of or whatever, it was a pirate game, and it involved it had like an overworld map, and it was like a map of Earth, and you piloted like a little pirate ship around it. And I don't remember much else about that, but I remember it being really fun, and I wish I knew the name of it. So if you know the name of Joseph's
Mystery Mech
game in Spanish. Or the mystery pirate game that would be in a kid's playroom at a hospital that involves pirates, let me know that. Or if you know where to get Gunman Wars, let us know.
War of the Gunmen. 2005.
Just Google that mech game, what Joseph played when he was 12 in Mexico.
Yeah. You'll find it.
Find that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's all for episode 3. Thank you for listening, and hopefully you'll hear from us again in a couple of weeks.
And we'll hear from you to answer more of your emails.
Yeah.